What do you think about talking to Richard?
Richard, let's run. Yeah, fuck yeah, let's do Richard. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Richard from the USA. What can we do for you today?
How you guys doing today?
I'm doing
good.
so good.
Yeah, you enjoying
If I was
yourself?
doing any better, it'd be criminal probably.
Okay, awesome. How are you, Richard?
Good so far.
Okay, what can we help you with?
Well, I actually got a couple different things.
Okay, well, let's start with your most important, most pressing.
Okay,
and go from there.
I'm an atheist now, and but one of the problems I'm having is with prayer. I just can't seem to give prayer up. Like if something goes wrong in my life or something like that, and it seems like I need to say a prayer. I don't think I'm praying to God, but it just seems like it's logical just to say a little prayer. I don't know if you know where I'm coming from.
Oh, totally, yeah. That was probably the last habit that I had to break because it becomes a habitual thing. It becomes something you just do, especially when somebody I loved was traveling. Because for some reason I had gotten it into my head when I was a Christian kid growing up that if I didn't pray for them and something happened to them while they were on the road or in the air, it would be my fault because I hadn't prayed.
That's a scary responsibility. That
I had anxiety a lot when I was a kid. Like mom going to the food store, okay, I have to go in my room and pray for like 15 minutes to make sure she comes back. So yeah, I totally get that. And for a very long time, I still felt guilty if I wasn't praying for somebody who was traveling, even though I no longer believed in any of it. Did you have similar experiences with that?
I didn't.
Well, actually, oops, sorry about that.
It's all right, Richard. I don't see a problem with you praying. Like what V was saying, it's a habit, and even if you never break the habit, it's still something that makes you feel better about approaching the day or the situation you're going through. And some folks find praying to just help focus the mind. But expecting it to actually have a physical impact on something that is unrealistic to think.
Right, exactly. Prayer by itself, the word is iffy just because it has religious connotation, but meditation or even just being intentional and speaking things into actually putting them out there and saying this is something I want or this is something I need or what I'm hoping for. As long as you don't think that it's impacting magically your surroundings, then you're fine, I think.
And even if you want to start shifting your language over from I need to pray or let me quickly meditate on this, it may help you come to grips with it a little bit better and feel okay about continuing to meditate.
Do you think prayer would be like talking to your brain, like relieving the pressure that you're going through?
Well, we had kind of earlier in the show here, we talked about how people, when they hear things out loud, when they hear themselves say things out loud, it either makes no sense or it helps focus them or it helps understand what they're thinking more clearly. And so saying things out loud for people is a very effective way to get that clarity and to understand what's going on in their head. So it's totally okay. I think more internally, but my wife, when she's walking around, she talks to herself, and it's totally. I make fun of her, of course, but it's totally her way to do it, and it's just fine. It's just fine. So yeah, talk to yourself. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Hey man, I'm looking pretty good today, or just like
hell yeah.
But yeah, don't worry about this as being a bad thing. Just think of it as either shifting your language towards meditation, perhaps, or if you no longer want to do this, then just see it as a habit that you'll wean yourself off, like smoking or something.
Yeah. I think that one thing that we tend to grant religions that we shouldn't is that they came up with these ideas and they have like the patent on these things. They don't. They
hold the patent over at the papal residency.
Right, the Vatican. It's just
Vatican
like patents for prayer and worship and all that good stuff. This is something that humans do, and it helps. And we figured out that it helped. And in our limited understanding, we were like, oh, it must help because there's a God who's making it work. And that's the most common understanding, at least in the U.S. But yeah,
it's not God that's making it work. It's making you. You're making it to work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're the one that.
Yeah.
working on that bill or trying to quit smoking, like you
Yeah.
said. You're the one that's fighting the battle, not
Yeah.
Right.
not
If you
God.
want to say a excuse me, a thank you prayer, say, "Hey, thanks me for doing this for me today," or for thinking ahead and getting that shit done earlier in the week.
Exactly. You might even want to throw a few cuss words in there to kind of like push it even further away from.
Say, fuck yeah!
I always curse when I pray.
Wonderful.
Yeah, does that help?
Yes, it has. It really has helped. My other thing was when I decided that or felt like there was no God. On my heart personally, it felt like something was lifted, like something was going away from my heart. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
dissolved. I don't know what that was, or I don't even know.
Oh yeah. No, I have felt that.
It's totally normal too.
Also, you can totally tell that Richard actually was a Christian because he said, "on my heart." Nobody except for evangelical Christians say that. So you've proven your credibility here. But yeah, yeah. I had a very, very strange, I don't want to call it deconversion because I called myself a Christian for another year after that, but it was probably the closest thing to a quote unquote like spiritual experience, like people, and it's very weird, the bodily and mental reactions that happen when something ends that you've been tied to your whole life. And when you get that shift in perspective, it can instigate all kinds of crazy things.
I also think that perhaps what you felt was a resolution of some cognitive dissonance that had been going on for a long, long time. Some doubts that you've been having that have been creeping up and building up and building up. And then when you finally understood, or even maybe when you gave yourself a label and you became it, it was just a relief. Like, yeah, I get it now. I understand. This is who I am.
Yeah, there's a lot of baggage that comes with religion. The idea that you were born broken, the idea that you have sins that you need to be forgiven for, the idea that the threat of hell is always there. There's a lot of background noise that you forget about when you're living in it.
Always in your head and looking at your thoughts.
Right. It's a lot of stuff, and being able to let that go, even if you're not consciously picking all of them apart, that moment where you're like, oh, this isn't real, I can stop worrying about this. That's definitely something that would feel like a lightness, like something lifted.
Yeah. And if you want to kind of read a little bit more about this and explore a little bit more about it, the author Chris Johnson wrote a book called A Better Life, and he interviewed and spoke with about 100 different atheists, and they all shared their experience about what it was like.
I'm going to write that down. You said Chris Johnson?
Chris Johnson, yeah, and the book's called A Better Life. It's a coffee table book. Okay. It's beautifully done, and he's taken great pictures of the folks who wrote about their experiences and how they feel better no longer being an atheist. And also, Greta Christina wrote a book about that too, right?
Yes, and I'm gonna pull this up.
You said it was called Living Better Life?
A Better Life.
A Better Life. Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's great.
Oh, you're good.
I got my mouth full of marbles, and
I love book recommendations. This is great. And then also YouTube, some YouTube creators. Rebecca Fox and Anthony Magnabosco just released a beautiful video called "How We Let Go." That talks a lot about. Okay. It talks a lot about the same feelings that you feel. A lot of people sharing their experiences. And some really interesting statistics about atheism in the U.S. So if you want to feel like you're maybe not so alone in this and want to kind of get a feel that other people are feeling the same things, that's also something you want to look up.
But yeah, what you're experiencing is completely normal. But people can experience the exact opposite when they realize
I was like, oh no, my soul's leaving me or something like that.
Luckily, you never had that to begin with.
No, you're good. You're fine.
I know that's a funny comment, but that's what I thought. I said, oh no, my soul's leaving me.
Yeah, some things later. But, if it feels better, then, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
really.
You can kind of fool the devil and pretend to sell your
right?
soul.
I'll sell you my soul that I don't have.
Christians are like, oh, you're gonna go to hell. You're gonna go to hell. I was like, I'd rather go to hell than heaven because heaven sounds boring. Actually,
Hey, all the coolest people are going to be in hell. I'll be there. I'll save you a seat.
We'll have one big party. We'll all get.
Oh, yeah.
I think all of the cool scientists are there too, so it probably has air conditioning.
Right, there you go. they fix the heating problem.
They fix the heating there.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in, Richard. I hope this helped a little bit.
Oh, it helped out a lot. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for
Good.
calling.
Okay, you guys have a great night now.
You too. Bye.
That was cool. We and in the support groups, we hear that quite a lot too. People feel great, but then they kind of stumble into something a little bit later where they discover, oh, this is a feeling I have is from religion too.
Oh, it's not a one-time thing.
No.
It's a continuous process.
Yeah. When I realized I was an atheist, it was literally like the rug had been pulled out from under me, and the foundation I had was gone, and I had to start building a brand new foundation of my worldview, because there was no more supernatural, there's no more God, and it was a brand new world, and we see that a lot with folks coming out of cults too. How isolated they have become, or they were in their own community, and then when they break out of it by hook or by crook, there's this whole new world, and you get to see the world fresh, and you get to see discoveries fresh through people's eyes. This one woman who I was so grateful to meet and get to know, she's like, I finally get to have pepper for the first time. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Pepper? And she was just so excited. I can put pepper on things. I'm like, yes, you can. You can take a spoon and eat pepper straight out of the jar.
You'll never want it again if you do that, but...
But yeah, just brand new discoveries of everyday life.
Oh, wow.
It's just beautiful. It's so cool to experience those kinds of things.
Oh, that's beautiful. Even things that like you don't think of as supernatural.
Yeah.
You realize later after thinking, wait, there's no basis for this anymore. Like, it took me a year or two to actually think about the concept of a soul and be like, wait, that's a thing too now, isn't it? So, it's just a continuous process of looking at what you believe and re-examining with the information you've got.
Yeah, it's for me, it was a constant discovery, new discoveries, and watching other people get new discoveries every day or every meeting.